Okay, I'm going to get started. Hey, Woody, thanks for joining. My name is Leslie, and this is Reworking This. And if you want to know more about me, definitely check out episode 1, where I provide an introduction. And then episode 2 was last week when I gave you a few tips on tie-dyeing. Today, we're going to be tie-dyeing some canvas shoes and another item that is like my surprise item. And I'm going to be revealing some items that I tie-dyed last week. I'm going to show you the 2 t-shirts that I tie-dyed. This is one of these shirts that I tie-dyed. This is actually my business shirt that got stains on it, so I bleached it. In the next couple of weeks, I'll be talking about some bleaching techniques and all. So hopefully you can hear me. My AirPods and I are not working out. Siri keeps popping up. So hopefully you can hear me. And this is my 3rd week simulcasting to YouTube. Hey YouTube, hey friends on YouTube. A Reseller's Passion is the name of my YouTube channel. And this is the first time that I am simulcasting on Twitch. Hi friends on Twitch. I don't have a lot of followers over there. So hopefully this will create some engagement and invite some new people to my community. If you could click the link on my bio, there's a blue link. That is the link. You click that, it'll take you to everything. I host a YouTube channel. I have a podcast. I am very active, very, very active on Instagram, kind of playing around with TikTok, and hopefully you'll join me. So today I'm going to be dyeing. It's not the same as tie-dye because I'm not adding any rubber bands. Tie-dyeing is when you're adding, ties and rubber bands and things like that. But today, I'll just be dyeing these sneakers right here. And hopefully everyone can see. If you can't, come up to the stage and let me know if it's something that I need to change. I'm working on a lot of new things each week. And I'm going to be dyeing these sneakers as well. Hi Allison, thanks for joining. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to show you the items that I dyed last week. Last week I actually went into different techniques, the swirl technique, the bunch technique, the boomerang technique. I'm only going to show you 2 shirts today that I completed, but they're actually the 2 shirts that I actually worked on last week. So if you go to last week's video, I talk about all kinds of dye and the dye that I use, liquid, powder, and things like that. And I'll show you a couple things today as well, because I'm going to do another 2 demonstrations. And I'm going to show you these shirts that I completed last week. So last week I was talking about like the spiral in the shirt. And I actually tie-dyed this one. I did a spiral, I spun the shirt and bunched it together. And I used these big fat postal, they call them postal rubber bands. And I actually used the bottles of dye and showed you individually how I colored these shirts. And then this is Alaska. This is the completed shirt from last week. This is one of the completed shirts from last week. See that spiral pattern right there? That's the first one. I'll show it at the end if any other people come on. And this is not a boomerang, the bullseye. This is the bullseye technique, and I use this a lot if I don't want my graphic to be messed up or colored. So I basically took the shirt and I grabbed it and I rubber banded it and let the graphic stick out. So this is a Planet Hollywood shirt, and this is what it looks like finished. I think it looks pretty cool. I'm thinking about maybe keeping it for myself. And I talked about the fact that I'm a reseller. So I sell like a lot of vintage clothes and modern clothes and shoes and things. And I'm also a handmade designer. So I'm creating this sustainable fashion brand. I've been a handmade designer for about 30 years. I used to sell on Etsy crochet designs. Now I have 3 Etsy stores, and I sell vintage and I sell handmade and I sell in person. I sell on Instagram. I have my own independent website, and you can find all that in the blue link that is in my bio. And I get all these liquidation boxes. It just depends. Some boxes are $25, some boxes are $100, and you get a whole bunch of shirts. You just don't know what they're going to send you. So I actually decided to take all these shirts and dye them, and I can sell them between anywhere from $5 to $100, depending on if it's like a vintage shirt or something like that. I do it in person. If I sell in person, I probably sell up to about $35, but I've sold up to $45. I have 3 handmade stores currently. So if you click that link again, you'll see all my items. The new items haven't been listed, but this will be listed. This is what the back looks like. It's a little bit different. It's like cool, isn't it? So it's really interesting, some of the patterns. And if you go back to the very first show, you will see a lot. I pulled out a lot of shirts. I pulled out a lot of shoes, gave you a demonstration just so you can find out who I am when I introduce myself. And that's that. So what I'm going to do today, I'm going to dye these canvas shoes. To me, cotton is the best material or fabric to dye because it really just soaks in. Cotton shirt, like the 2 shirts that you just saw, if it's a blended or a combination fabric or material, it's going to be a little bit challenging. So you have to kind of really read the instructions, play around with it. 100% polyester is considered a synthetic fabric, so that's going to take a little bit of a challenge. I'm going to actually show you some other shoes that are synthetic and give you an idea of how you can dye them in a little bit. But these canvas shoes are cotton. I've done a lot. I actually have a lot of Converse. I have about 5 pair of my own that I've dyed. I have Vans, the skater type Vans. And of course, I have about 4 pairs of Sperry's, and these are Sperry's. I'm going to leave these ties in here because they're not going to discolor. And I don't want to mess with taking them out, that little fancy curl that Sperry does. And then I'm going to dye these. These are Keds. And again, it's canvas material. And I'm actually going to step away real quick because I forgot to wet these. I like to wet them so that it could soak in. Let's see. Let me do it real quick. So thankfully, I work in my kitchen. I'm back. Okay, so they're wet, and I like to wet the shirts and any shoes or anything because the dye absorbs a little bit better. So I'm all set up over here. I want to make sure I talked about everything. I have notes. I think it's very important to have notes. Okay, this is very different for me because I'm used to taping YouTube videos, or I'm used to interviewing people live instead of me doing demonstrations. So this is exciting for me to be on this journey. Now, for regular shoestrings, sometimes I leave them in, but these particular ones are a little bit dirty. So I'm probably going to wash them before I add color. So I'll add color to them and just stick them in like a little sandwich or freezer bag overnight. And so I usually work in the sink, but when I'm doing demonstrations and DIY videos, which I do, so you can go over, check out my reels, my TikToks, my YouTube to see my videos. Pinterest, I put everything everywhere. Reels on Facebook, I'm very active. And so when I'm doing demonstrations like this, I use a little bin, and I found this little grate here. Thankfully, this was only $1. I've had this for about 6 years now, but thankfully it fits right into these Sterilite bins. And so I can now work on my colors for here. So I'm take my shoes and sit them in here. Now I'm only going to show you, last week I showed so many different colors. But this is RIT dye, and this is all purpose, and this is for cotton, wool, nylon. So today I'm dyeing cotton. And I have colors in all these little bottles. And I don't do custom items, so that way I can just dye however I want. And it's so much fun. I'm actually going to tip my screen down a little bit so you can see a little bit more, and probably try to bring you a little closer. I have some water here, so I don't want you to fall in there. Okay, so here are these sneakers, and the cool thing is it's almost like you are a student in school or even an artist. You can do whatever you want. It's been a lot of trial and error for me. I've been playing around for like 2 years. That's how long I've been in business with my upcycle items. And so I have some neon green, some neon yellow. I'm going to save those to the end. And I have a little bit of, I think this is wine color left over from a project from 2 days ago. I dyed 15 t-shirts. That's a lot of work. It's very exhausting. Here's some tangerine, this pretty tangerine right here. This is aquamarine right here. Such a pretty blue color. And I think this is what they call denim blue. And so I think I want to work with the brighter colors for these particular Keds. And I'm just going to start with orange. And one thing I would say before you dive into is just kind of play around. And that's like maybe start off with some items you already have, or maybe go to, a flea market or a thrift store, a garage sale or something like that, yard sale, and find some cheap items before you color something that you really want, because you don't want to be all upset if it doesn't come out well. And I like playing around. It's just like coloring on canvas. So I always start with the tongue, because the tongue kind of gets missed and I don't want it to be sad. So I just take like some color and just drop it, and then just watch, just drop a little bit of color, and then look at that, just a little dot. And I'm going to drop a little more color right there, and it kind of goes in there like that. I'm going to drop a little orange right here, and then you can move it around if you want. And then I drop it some on the side, because and both shoes are going to be different. I try not to add color in the same areas. So that is so far what the orange looks like. And I'll look at it, and if I'm satisfied with that, I'll move on to the second shoe. And again, I try not to put color in the same areas, because that makes the shoes so different. And these are the items that really sell, because people cannot find these items anywhere. They are custom. as you can see. Now, don't get me wrong, there will be tie-dye sneakers and shoes all over. You won't be the first if you try this, but it will be your item and no one else's will look like yours. And so I think that's probably what I'm going to do with the orange. That's what the orange looks like, right? And then I'm going to I have a little bit of wine left. This is wine color. And I'm just going to put this. And one thing again, like I said, so like I'll give you an example with the tongue. I can start from the top and just let this drip down like that. So it's all up to you just to kind of figure out how you want it to look. In the next few weeks, I'll actually probably do something different where you can tie dye actually with marker. You color with marker and then you add like alcohol to spread the color out. And then I'm gonna go to this other side. And again, just be random and kind of be happy with, how it looks because no one else has these. It's like painting on canvas. It's your abstract art. You're the artist and you decide how you want it to look. Okay, so that's the orange and the wine. And then now I'm going to do the aquamarine, and then I'm going to finish with the neon colors. The neon colors make it really cool at the end. I think I don't know if I'm going to use both. And so now I'm going to put this blue, and then see how it bleeds in. I really like that. The blue is aggressive. And if you put the tip of your bottle on your item, you can almost draw. Let me give you an example. Let me put this down. If you put the tip here and hold it, it's almost like you can draw it the way that you want, where you want it to go also, if you want to be more specific in your color. This blue is so pretty. And I don't really want to mess around too much with that. So I think that's it for the blue. And then also, I talked about this before, you have your primary colors, and when you mix them together, sometimes when they mix them together, they become the secondary colors, like blue and yellow make green, that kind of thing. So here's a little spot right here. I think I'm going to put some blue in there. And for some reason, again, the blue is aggressive. It is dripping its way down. But just, if you can, be comfortable with where it's landing. Oops. So here's my blue. I think that is really pretty. And then I think I'm going to add a little bit more. Actually, I'm going to add, I usually don't go back, but this orange, I need a little bit more something in that space. And so the only thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to fill this in with this neon yellow. And the neon is probably just going to blend in a lot. So I'm just going to fill in all the space that I didn't color with this neon yellow. I'll use the green on the other pair. Whoops. And the cool thing is, again, it just did this secondary effect. And I usually have on gloves, but I don't know why I don't have them on right now. I got excited. Yeah, and if I wasn't demonstrating, I would be going much faster because it would just be me. Sometimes I have to do, because I'm going to sell these items, I would probably do 10 pair at a time, just one behind the other, have everything set up like an assembly line. by the kitchen sink. I'm at my kitchen table right now. So I usually only work here when I need to make a couple videos for the week and when I'm talking with you guys. Okay, so let me do a little bit more yellow. There we go. So this is what these look like. And I'll probably show them again. You who was ever here today is very fortunate because you get to see me actually doing it. But look how pretty they are. And then next week will be the reveal. So there's one or two ways you can put these outside. You can let them air dry. You can, if I wasn't filming this right now, I would probably leave them on the table. I usually lay a towel out. Right now I do have a plastic shower curtain on the table, so nothing, I would probably just sit them here. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stick them into a bag. They'll sit overnight, and I'll rinse them and maybe use a little white detergent to wash them. And that's just to ensure that the color does not bleed. So whoever purchased them, when they do go to wash them, that they won't have color all over the place. And something like this you would wash by hand. So that's that pair. And so I'm going to take these Sperry's, and I'm going to do probably the similar. I'm going to start with the aquamarine, and I'm just going to kind of go a little bit faster this time. Woo! And then put a little bit more color. Yeah, again, like I said, this blue is aggressive. And I didn't really wet them enough. And so you can get color here. This I'll be able to scrub off, but a lot of times I like to leave the color on because it adds character to the shoe. Okay, and some of it's not soaking in as well because I totally forgot to wet these, so I just did a quick wet, as you remember. All right. All right. Yeah, I think that looks good. And then I'm going to add, I'm just going to do the orange as well. And I'm just going to do a little bit. I'm just going to do the orange. And after I get off, I'll come back because I need to wet the back a little bit more so that the color, because the color is not really adhering on the back. Okay. And so these are just going to be like that. And then I'm going to add some neon green to them. Oops. Yeah, I thought the blue was aggressive. I think the orange is a little aggressive. Okay. And then I'm gonna have to come back later and wet the back. But then I'm gonna I'm gonna do something different. I'm gonna put the neon green on here. And the cool thing about the neon, when it dries, it gives it like this great kind of color. And I actually put it right on top of the blue. And that's what you're gonna get there. And don't worry about if it gets in the inside because I'm going to rinse these. They're going to go into a bag, but I'm going to rinse these anyway. Whoops. Here we go. I'm going to take a sip of my coffee. I didn't get a nap in today. All right. And so my goal with these is just to fill in all the white spaces with the neon green. So that's this pair. And as you can see, I'm going to wet these after I finish talking with you. I'll wet the back a little bit and then add a little bit more color. So those are these canvas shoes. Now, I'm going to show you real quick. Yeah, I didn't wear my gloves. That's weird. I don't even know what I did with them. So, here. Last week I talked about synthetic colors. If you're going to try to dye some leather, pleather, faux leather, vegan leather, polyester, it tells you all the items on here, acrylic, if you're going to try to dye those, using a synthetic dye works better. I'm not going to do these this week. I'll probably do them another time. I got a whole bunch of sneakers in a liquidation box, and I use this, it's Rit Dye, the same company, but it's synthetic. So if I were to, say for instance, want to dye these shell top Adidas, and I think they're my size, I would boil some water, make it as hot as possible. Then I would add about a half a cup of salt, and that's going to activate it. And then stick these in there for about 20 minutes, and then it will change the whole color. So if you don't want the whole shoe covered, like the shell, you need to find some tape or something that can cover it. So when you do submerge it into your liquid, it doesn't change colors. So you can leave the strings in. I would probably take the strings out. These need to be washed. They're not very clean. So there's no need to really dye them unless you're doing like a darker color. It's up to you. But if I wanted this whole white sneaker to be gray, I would stick it in, submerge it in some boiling water with the dye and some salt to activate it. And then leave it in there. 20, 30 minutes later, these will be gray. You can do that with, furniture. You can do that with pillows, outside furniture, anything like that. Same thing with these Nikes right here. You would submerge them. Just pick the color that you want. You can do the front one color. That means you would have to hold them instead of letting the whole shoe go into the liquid. Hold them and be okay, or have a helper or someone, maybe not a smaller child, right? Because the water is boiling temperature. And you're going to just stick these in there and then maybe color them this way and then color them that way. Hold them in and then the next color. So like if you're going to an event or something and you wanted some customized shoes, that's the way to go. Same thing with the tie-dye. It's a great way to customize and be different from the crowd. Okay. So next week I'll reveal that. And then the last thing I'm going to do, I'm going to show you something new. This week is the first time that I'm actually going to be dipping some items. I'm going to be showing you. Okay, let me take another sip of coffee. Oops. As a sidebar, I did indicate I'm working from my kitchen. I live in a little ranch house. So I do everything just about. I have my own office, but that's for like videos and my working office and all my inventory. If you could see in there, I take photos and everything in there. So I have to have a place where I can actually create. So I'm at my kitchen table. A lot of times I do work from the sink. And I went this weekend to get this is a shower curtain, $1. And I think I actually paid $3 because this is a little bit thicker. And actually the funny thing is it's the Clorox brand. So I just put it on the table. And then that way, as you can see, I've been wiping it up with this paper towel. And when I'm done, I can take it outside. I can rinse it. I can scrub it down, let it dry, and fold it up and come back for next week. And so that this is going to be specifically for when I do these DIYs with you. So now I'm pulling these buckets here. I got to be careful. This is what I do every day. And I have 2 containers here. Warm water, and I use Rit Dye again, but this is the powder. This one is teal. This bucket right here is the teal. And then this is pearl gray right here. It looks really dark, but when I go to use it, you'll be able to see. So I fill it up with water, hot if possible, but I get it as warm as I can. And you want it warm so that it can dissolve, because this is powder. This is powder, so you want it to dissolve. And then I stir it up with a little dollar store spoon. I have these. I keep these for myself. We don't eat off of these. And then today I'm going to be dyeing. I do a lot of bags because I sell a lot of different things when I do my pop-up shops and online. And a few months ago, well, actually a year ago, before I moved from Delaware to North Carolina, I bought these. I got really excited when I started tie-dyeing. So I started buying stuff, kind of really wasting money. And now I'm sustainable. I'm using items that I already have or get from a thrift store or something. So found these great giant laundry bags. And I have some that I've worked on before. And this is before I knew what I was doing. I just went and like dyed it, not realizing this is cotton canvas material. It has to be wet before you tie dye it. And so I have some that were not so good. I've sold a couple, but this is a laundry bag, great for like college students, or you can actually stick it into your laundry basket and then just pull this all out on laundry day. Or you can use it, you can play Santa or whatever with this particular bag. And it has a little string here to, tuck it. And this, I don't have to wet this because I'm going to submerge it, but I need to put my gloves on this time. I did, so funny story, you have to protect your area. I was doing a little project and I decided I'm just going to open up a pack of red powdered dye, the same powder that I just showed you. And they come in these little packs like this. Oops. Comes in a little pack. This is open, so I don't want to spill it. And I thought instead of cutting it, I thought I would be cute and just try to rip it. So I ripped it and it spilled everywhere. My kitchen floor, which thankfully is a laminate floor, and my kitchen rug, which is light, and red everywhere. Now the problem with that is cleaning it up, the more I wiped, the more red spread everywhere. I thought I was smart and I took a broom and a dustpan, tried to sweep it up. I had to clean the dustpan, had to clean the broom. Walking around, it was on the bottom of my socks. So I was walking around and it was red footsteps everywhere. So it was crazy to say the least. Okay, so this right here, I'm going to just dip 2 colors. A lot of times when it's just me and I'm playing around, sometimes I have 3 buckets and I can, play around with the colors. But today I'm going to use 2 bags and I'm just going to do the reverse for them. So this one right here, I'm going to just dip 1 portion into, I want to make sure I have to have my paper towels by me. So when I go to wipe my hands, I'm going to dip 1 portion into I got to submerge it. And this just is going to have to sit because this canvas is really thick. If you've ever dealt with like canvas bags, this is going to have to sit. You're probably not even going to see the color. It's going to take overnight for you to see. You can see a little bit, but it'll take overnight for this color to like really soak in. And this is the teal. So it's just going to submerge. I'm going to hold that down. And then the top part, I'm going to stick into this pearl gray. And the challenge with the small containers that I have, as you can see, everything's not going in at the same time. So I let a little bit sit for about 30 minutes and then I'll come in and push some down into here. And then after this side has gotten some attention, I'll push some down into here. But then you'll get that pretty color. So right now, and it's going to be really light just because this is canvas. So you can't see it now, but next week when I do the reveal, you'll see it. And that's to be perfect. It'll be subtle. And then I think after I make these colors, I'll probably finish it off by painting or something, doing something else with it. Adding some flowers, depending on how it looks. So that's the first bag. One side, the bottom side is teal and the top side is pearl gray. And then I'm going to take this second bag. Here's another one. This is how I do my dyeing process all the time so that I don't waste dye. Tomorrow, I'll probably do something else. I won't warm up the water. I'll just let the items sit in overnight. And so in this particular situation, I'm going to put the bottom into the pearl gray. I'm going to just lay it right on top. Submerge it in there really well. And then in about an hour, if it doesn't get dark, I'll just add a little bit more color. And then I'll add the top into the teal. And this is how I dye all the time. And then so next week I'll do the reveal. Just really push that down and submerge it. And if anybody has any questions, come on up. This is when I'm going to do the Q&A portion. And I'm actually going to I just decided that I'm going to add another show during the course of the week. That show is still going to be reworking it, but I'm going to start talking about like in between the DIY tutorials, I'll come in and start not telling you, but giving you suggestions on how you can market your items. As I indicated before, I do a lot of this online. I'm very active on Pinterest. I actually have an ebook, Pinterest 101. I actually have 3 ebooks, and I teach reselling. I do a lot of different things. I do one-on-one consultations a lot. So I teach people how to take their handmade and their reselling and expand it, grow, what to take away, what to add on, those kind of things. So I think I'm going to start adding that element, reworking this, the marketing side or something during the course of the week. Okay, so these are those items, as you can see. So there's the teal, and here is the pearl gray. It's going to just be very subtle until it sits. And then as you can see again in the middle, there's this challenge, and I'll come back and let that soak. So I'm going to push these up. All right. And again, if anybody wants to come up, definitely raise your hand. What I'm going to do, I said last week that I would show this wedding dress that I dyed, and I have it over here behind the door. And I want to thank everyone who's participated today. I really appreciate it. I'm going to show you this wedding dress, and then I'm going to end. I'm trying to keep everything under an hour as to not bore people. Okay. And so this was a vintage wedding dress. I went to the thrift store, and she wanted to charge me a lot of money for the modern dresses, the dresses that people are wearing now. And all of those dresses had stains. The bride has had something to drink or something that's fallen. She's eaten and it's fallen down the front. Well, there was no different with this. This is a wedding dress. This is probably about 30 years old. She wanted to charge me $25, $30, $15 for a modern dress, but only said $5 for this vintage dress, which I actually love. So it was white and it had a huge stain down the front. So I took the bottom and did aquamarine. Here's the bottom. Changed the bottom to aquamarine, and then the top is a I forget what color the top is, like a light brown color. And then, as you can see, it darkened on the lace part. But a lot of people say it looks like a princess dress and things like that. So I think it looks really good. And someone who purchases this might not buy it as a wedding dress. And that's what I try to get people to think outside the box. Just because you're adding color does not mean it ruins the dress. The dress was already ruined. It had a huge spot right here, big old spot right here. It was brown and the dress was white. It was no missing it. So I try to encourage people to definitely step outside of their comfort zone and do something different. So Tammy, I was just showing everyone this vintage wedding dress that I dyed and just giving you an idea. This could be cosplay. This could be, I have it, I'm using SEO, my keywords, Downton Abbey, that kind of thing. So you never know what people are looking for in terms of anything that you color, anything that you create. So don't listen to the masses. If you have an idea about something, create it, because worst comes to worst, it won't sell, or it won't sell as much as you want. But I think that with your creative knowledge, you can sell anything. And so that's why I'm going to be adding the second show during the week, and I'm going to call it Reworking This. And I think I'm going to give you some marketing tips, give you tips on where you can sell, talk about pop-up shops. I have a pop-up shop coming on June 25th here in North Carolina. And so I'm going to talk about that. I did pop-up shops for about 15 years. Every Saturday I would get up, and then when my son was a teenager, he would help me. So I want to give you some tips and tricks. So I'm going to add that second element. The one show will just be the upcycling and reworking. And then the second show, I'm going to give you some marketing tips and help you sell some items if that's what you want to do. Okay, so I want to thank everyone who has joined. If you didn't watch all of it, definitely go back and watch the replay. This is, again, simulcasting on YouTube. Hello, my friends on YouTube, and it is simulcasting on Twitch for the first time. So hello, my friends on Twitch. I hope that you could hear me. My earbuds were acting really weird, and we had fun. So go watch the replay, and then next week I will show you the finished work of